What happens when the deadliest predator in the galaxy, a void dragon hatchling that breathes plasma and shreds armor, meets a 6-year-old human girl who thinks it is cute, not terrified, not screaming, just a child holding crackers in her tiny hands, calling a nightmare a puppy. That moment didn't just change her fate. It rewrote what the galaxy thought was possible, turning fear into friendship and proving that sometimes the smallest human heart can tame the biggest monster. If stories like this leave you wide-eyed and curious, you're in the right place. Hit that like button if you enjoy these wild, humans are special moments. Subscribe so you don't miss the next HFY tale, and share this with a friend who loves a good twist of wonder in their sci-fi. Trust me, they'll thank you later. The chamber of the Galactic Council was heavy with tension. Species from across the stars sat in silence, their voices hushed, their colors dimmed. Commander Zethar of the Reptilian Defense Fleet stood at the center, his scales darkened with stress. He spoke words that no one wanted to hear. The void dragon nest on colony world Tursus 7 has hatched. The hatchlings are already killing, 47 dead, over 100 wounded. Their claws cut through armor. Their fire melts steel. Orbital bombardment is the only option before they mature. The air shifted. Insectoid delegates clicked their mandibles nervously. Amphibian envoys let out anxious croaks. Even the stoic crystalline species glimmered with unease. Everyone knew the truth. Void dragons weren't just dangerous. They were unstoppable once grown. But what none of them realized was that far below, on Tursus 7, in a facility overrun with destruction, 2 humans had been left behind. One was Ryan, a young xenobiologist barely 19, trying to be braver than he felt. The other was Emma, a 6-year-old girl with big brown eyes, still clutching a stuffed toy she hadn't let go of since the evacuation alarms. And while the galaxy debated firepower, fate was quietly writing a very different story. The evacuation had been chaos alarms blaring, soldiers shouting, families rushing to transports. Somewhere in that storm, a mistake was made. Dr. Sarah Chun, the lead researcher, was pulled to safety. But her daughter Emma was left in the daycare wing. By the time anyone realized, the doors were sealed. Ryan, the youngest scientist on the station, found her. 19, barely trained, hardly ready for war zones, but he couldn't leave a child behind. For 3 days they hid in maintenance tunnels, ration packs their only lifeline. Each distant roar shook the walls. Each flicker of fire reminded Ryan how close death was. Emma, strangely, wasn't afraid. She trusted him. She held his hand and whispered questions in the dark. Do dragons like crackers? Do you think they're lonely? Her innocence was surreal against the nightmare outside. Then came the scratching. A sound too close, too sharp. The sealed blast door began to glow red, melting under a predator's breath. Ryan's heart pounded. He knew what was coming. As molten metal dripped onto the floor, the silhouette of a void dragon hatchling appeared. Obsidian scales, eyes burning like stars, and it was coming for them. The hatchling burst through the doorway in a storm of molten sparks. Ryan yanked Emma behind a crate, barely daring to breathe. This wasn't the noble dragon of fairy tales. It was a nightmare given flesh. Its scales absorbed the light. Its drool hissed where it landed. Its wings shimmered with patterns that seemed to twist the mind. Ryan knew the rules. Void dragons hunted fear. One flicker of terror, and they were finished. He tried to steady his breath, to smother every instinct that screamed run. But Emma didn't know those rules. She peeked around the crate, her little eyes wide, not with fear, but with wonder. Oh! She gasped softly. Look at the puppy. Ryan's stomach dropped. The hatchling's head snapped toward her, frills spreading wide in a threat display. Plasma built in its throat, glowing orange beneath its skin. Ryan's voice cracked in panic. Emma, no. But the girl stepped forward, clutching her packet of crackers like treasure. "You're so cute," she said gently. "Are you lost too? My name's Emma." The dragon froze. Its eyes narrowed, confused. For the first time in its short, violent life, something other than fear stood before it. Ryan's breath caught as Emma tore open the cracker packet with her tiny hands. She wasn't trembling. She wasn't running. She was smiling. "You have pretty eyes," she told the hatchling, as if she were talking to a stray dog. "Like stars. Are you hungry?" The plasma glow in the dragon's throat flickered, then faded. It tilted its head, watching the girl with a puzzlement that no xenobiologist had ever recorded. Predators didn't hesitate. Yet here it stood, frozen. Emma held out a cracker. "Here, these are my favorites. They taste like cheese." The creature stepped forward. Claws sharp enough to rip apart armor clicked on the floor. Ryan's heart thundered. One swipe and she'd be gone. But instead, the hatchling bent down. With surprising gentleness, it took the cracker from Emma's hand. Then came the sound soft, almost musical. A trill, not a growl. Not a roar, something closer to a purr. Emma giggled and reached up, patting its head. The dragon leaned into her touch, eyes closing, that strange trill rising again. Ryan could only whisper, awestruck, This shouldn't be possible." But Emma just smiled. "See? He just wanted a friend." 3 days later, when the Galactic Council's rescue teams finally forced their way into the ruined facility, they expected carnage. What they found instead silenced the room. There sat Emma, cross-legged on the lab floor, surrounded by not one, but 7 dragon hatchlings. Each one should have been a terror beyond control, yet all of them purred like contented beasts, nuzzling her hands, tugging playfully at her shoelaces. Ryan stood nearby, alive, untouched, still struggling to process what he was seeing. Commander Zdar, watching through his visor, whispered the words every delegate dreaded. "Void dragons don't bond." This is impossible. But impossible or not, there it was. Emma looked up at the armored soldiers with a casual smile. "See? I told you they just needed someone to be nice to them." In that moment, the Council's debates, their protocols, their fears all seemed smaller. Kindness, a force too simple to measure, had turned nightmares into companions. Even dragons, it seemed, could not resist a human child's heart. And that, right there, is why humanity keeps shocking the galaxy. While others see monsters, we see potential. Where fear demands firepower, a 6-year-old brings crackers and rewrites destiny. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who loves a good humans are special twist. Trust me, they'll thank you for it, because in the end, the scariest thing in the galaxy isn't a dragon. It's realizing that kindness might just be the most unstoppable weapon we've ever had.